Hey everyone, as you can see I just scraped a painting. If you saw a recent negative space swipe, it looked like the bat signal, it was that one. And so before, because I stared at it a long time. You know, if it's just going to be in the stack of things I never resin, I think I'd rather not let it dry and have to sand it down and yada yada yada. So I have a request to try to do a 12-inch bloom that's similar to an 8-inch one that I really love, and I don't really know if I have the skill to do the 12-inch, but I'm going to try while I already have this, because like once you kind of jam up a 12-inch round, now that all this color has been on this canvas, it would be difficult to do a negative space swipe without that color showing through. So I was either going to do a regular swipe the whole thing swipe, or a bloom. So sometimes those blooms that work out the best work out because the previous thing failed and you're like, well, what the heck, the thing's already messed up, let's try. And I am trying to go bigger, so let's see. So I don't have all the colors in the original one, but the colors that show the most in this bloom are Phthalo Blue and Sea Dancer, but I don't have Cosmos mixed up, but it was kind of a color that was covered up anyway. But it calls for a little Diox Purple, some Australian Red Violet. I may sneak in a couple of the new PrizmPour colors because I have them out right here already, if I think that they might complement it. But let me go grab something and we'll get started. All right, so I don't have all the same colors, but I am going to improvise, and I have plenty of colors that need to be used up. So I don't have Cosmos mixed up, which is like a super delicious pink. I do have Tangerine Dream. I think in that bloom I was using up some colors that needed to be used up. Now Tangerine Dream needs to be used, and it is very thick, but it is beautiful. The problem is, for me to thin it out is going to introduce stupid bubbles. So let me talk you through what I have in my head. So in this bloom that sort of just happened to turn out, I used a bunch of colors, but the primary colors that kind of peek through, and if you haven't seen the video, I'll try to link the one I'm talking about. The primary ones that kind of peeked through were Phthalo Blue and like a shimmery teal color. It was Sea Dancer. So I'm going to use Caribbean Mist, which is also very beautiful. And I'm also going to put a little bit of the sparkling Aqua PrizmPour in there as well, in place of that. This Tangerine Dream was toward the bottom. And I used Diox Purple. So Diox Purple tends to take over like in a really bad way. I also used a little bit of Australian Red Violet, and it just peeks through in a couple places. So I'm going to drizzle it. But instead of using Diox Purple, I'm going to use this Blue Violet, or Indigo Violet from Colourarte. It's a PrizmPour color. So if you saw the swipe that I referred to scraping, it's in there. It's a little bit thick. So I'm just going to put a little bit of that. This is Phthalo Blue from Blickcrylic. I wish that I had Phthalo Blue mixed up from Matisse or something, but I don't. So we're going to use what we've got. So this is the sparkling Aqua PrizmPour. So we're going to use a little bit of that. A little bit of Australian Red Violet. And Caribbean Mist. And I'm going to use a dual cell activator. Anthraquinone, blue, and white. Let me show you this Caribbean Mist. I just need to stir it up. It's almost full, and it hasn't been stirred in a while. It's beautiful. I thought about adding a little bit of this sage color from the most recent primary elements set the sorbets, because it would look really beautiful with phthalo blue, but I may just have too many irons in the fire right now. So this Caribbean mist has been mixed up a long time. It's a little thick, but really pretty. So I'm going to use a white and blue cell activator. I need to get the white. I'll be right back. All right, so let's get to it here. So I'm going to put, I think I'm going to put the fennel flower. Wait, that's not true. Fennel flower is a different color. The tangerine green, I'm going to put it on the bottom. It's very thick. I'm just going to use it all on the bottom, but I'm going to kind of spread it out a little bit for two reasons. For one, it's not going to be a dominant color, and for two, the bubbles are intense. So the thicker the layer, like you saw right here, what I just did, the thicker the layer, the worse the bubbles are going to be. So we're going to go ahead and use this beautiful thing right up. I love this color so much. This and Cosmos are just amazing. So sometimes I let these cups dry and I scrape out the paint. But I think that one we're just gonna let it die. Throw it away. Don't call the plastic police. Okay, so I really should have gloves on. Just took some off because my spinner is messy. So let me just pop these. I'll get some more gloves on. And I've had this pillow paint sitting on here for too long. Okay, gloves real quick. Now, I'm going to just put a smidgen of the blue violet and the Australian red violet, and then we're going to focus on our more aqua-like colors. Now, red violet is obviously one of my favorites. A little goes a long way unless you want it to really show and peek through. So in this particular situation, it was peeking through, which was fine, but we don't want it to take over. Because in the example, which was sort of by accident, it was not a dominant color. All right, so we're going to put a little bit of this Indigo Violet, which is mixed a little thick, to be honest. I just, in my last video, I only had them mixed with a little Jo Sonja, and they were a little overly glossy, so I just added some of my regular untinted paint, just a little bit. So what I noticed with these PrizmPour paints is if you'll mix them with your Jo Sonja first, a little at a time, sort of like you would a pigment, the color saturation is just amazing. Versus if you just dump in a whole bunch of your house paint right at it, because what it does is it makes it look like the color is a little muted. It's not going to dry muted, it's going to dry clear, but it makes your color look muted in your tubs, and when you're painting you're like, what happened to that beautiful? But it's still going to be beautiful. But especially like when you're filming and sharing it with people, you want them to see it for what it is. Okay, so we're going to put a little bit of the sparkling Aqua, Caribbean Mist, and Phthalo Blue. So sparkling Aqua. That color is delicious, if I can just say that. It is quite amazing. You can see I went way above the put a little bit concept. This is the Caribbean Mist. So obviously the Aqua has more green. This is a little bit more blue. So my thought is that we should kind of be hitting it from both angles. And but I have kind of a large puddle here, and I've got to be able to blow it out, so I need to chill. I'm about to mess up my color order. All right, Phthalo blue. Phthalo blue is always a favorite color blue for me. This is a little thick, but I want to make sure it's in the center. I don't mind if it's like drizzly. We may get more color showing through. This may look completely different than what I'm going for. It's so hard to duplicate what you did by accident. You know, it's just the story of my life. But so I recently ordered some MDF rounds, and I'm not confident in my ability to go bigger yet. And I order 8-inch rounds all the time for bloom practice, and I accidentally got 10-inch rounds, which is, you know, a great bonus, except for I don't know if I have that skill yet. And so I'm like, well, maybe that was like a happy accident that's gonna force me into going bigger a little faster. Because, you know, sometimes it's just a confidence issue. So if you're new to my channel, I've done blooms for a couple years, but I have not always been the greatest at blowing them out myself, meaning no hair dryer or something like that. And so I have lately been trying to do that a lot more and gradually getting the hang of it. But obviously these puddles are very big. You don't normally need something that big. But, you know, I'm excessive. What can I say? All right, so I'm going to put the white down first. When you put the white down first and you put something over it, usually your cells are big and bubbly versus putting the white on top of like black or something where it's the opposite. I normally prefer white down last, but this bloom was done the opposite way. So I don't want to change it when that's what I'm trying to duplicate. So I did mix this a while ago, at least a month ago, so it's not the freshest. So I did freshen it up a little bit just a moment ago with some Aussie Floetrol. Oops. Same with this blue. So neither of them are freshly mixed. They were a little thick. So hopefully that was successful. All right. Yikes, I'm so nervous. I haven't done a bloom in a minute. I have hair. Oh my gosh, you wouldn't believe what I just did. Okay, so what when I said you guys won't believe what I just did. Oops. Okay, so when I scraped that swipe a little bit ago, whoa, I knew I was gonna go again. So I scraped all of it off over here so it wouldn't show so much on the camera. And I just like put my whole shirt in that. Okay, so far that really distracted me and screwed up my blow, but I think we can redeem it. So problem is I left the paint too long. I think we can make something out of this. So the center is a little underdeveloped in some areas, but I don't want to overdo it, so that'll probably be okay. Let me pop some bubbles while that develops. We'll spin her out and see what we see. I really hope this turns out lovely. I mean, considering how distracted I got blowing it out, it looks pretty good. Because that really threw me off. And certainly isn't perfect, but I am not a make perfect blooms person yet. I am working on it. But you know, I'm learning that perfection in art is not really a thing. And sometimes I think it's the imperfections that make it pretty. I'm choosing to believe that, because if you obsess about all the imperfections, you can take some of the fun out of it. And you guys are always telling me I'm too hard on myself, so I'm also trying to, like, I try to externally process to tell you, okay, this looks like this because of this. Because when you're learning, I think it's valuable for you to know if something shows up that you don't like what caused it. It kind of helps. I don't have a steady hand right now, and the center is going to expand. So these little measles, if I don't kind of catch them, they're going to look worse in a minute. Okay, but we are running out of time with this not becoming a ring right here around the edge. In fact, it probably already is, because I took so long to get all that going. So I'm just going to help it a little bit because this paint's already thickening up. Okay, so we're just going to tilt it a little bit the other way and start to gently spin. Still kind of need it to go back this way. But you guys, considering how distracted I was, I'm pretty pleased with how that blow turned out. And quite honestly, the colors are kind of similar to what I was going for, which hardly ever happens. So Wilson, if you are watching, I'm attempting this for you. And I need to pop a couple of these before we go much further, but I'm thinking this is gonna maybe work out. So let me pop some of these bubbles, obviously, because it's spreading out more and more of the purple's gonna show than the first one. I'm modeling it after, so you can see that. But that makes me really glad that I used the Indigo Violet instead of the Diox, because the Diox would have been more pinky purple. And I like that this is more blue violet. So let me pop some of these bubbles and I'll be back. All right, let's keep going. I think you guys have a pretty decent view from there. So I honestly didn't expect this to go quite this well. Just when I walk away, I find another stupid bubble. They're everywhere, but I just needed to get a handle on some of them that were a little bit more challenging. You guys, I'm kind of pleasantly surprised by this. I hope that I am concerned about the bubbles, and I would like to get this to the edge without screwing up the composition. But other than that, it's not very often that I have a successful 12-inch bloom on the first try. Oh, what is this guy right here? Nobody invited you to this party. So let me know what you think. I'm gonna give it one more good spin just to see if I can't get rid of some of these parts, but if I can't, I don't think they're worth breaking up over, you know. I think that's pretty good. What do y'all think? Bring you down for a close-up. There's this one funky part where I kind of blew the cell activator again, but I think once you resin it and all that, it's gonna look pretty amazing. The one thing that's hard to tell right now is if we got enough of that shimmer in there from the Caribbean Mist and the Sparkling Aqua, because one thing that was really great about that bloom was like the greenish shift under the phthalo blue, and some of that will show even more after it's resined. So sometimes it looks great, and then after it gets resined it looks really great. So it's hard to tell if, yikes, my very unsteady hand. It's kind of hard to tell if that's what it's going to look like, but let me bring you down for a close-up. I think this one little white part, I can live with that. Considering how much bigger that is than what I normally do, and how distracted I got when I drug my shirt in the paint, I am pretty impressed with how this one turned out. So I'm gonna call it a win. Is she perfect? No, but that's not the goal. So let me give it one good spin, bring you down for a close-up, and of course I'll show you a short on YouTube once it's resined, but I think I like it. Hey, I closed the gap a little bit on that white part. Check me out. Give it one more shot. I'm making a humongous mess. I gotta clean up my mess. Okay, let me bring you down. Be right back. Gone through like 4 pairs of gloves in this process. Okay. So here she is. I love these little parts right here with the tiny little cells. Those are some of my faves. I love the way the Indigo Violet looks. Instead of using just a typical Diox purple, you can see that amazing shift right there. It's a lot more dominant than I expected, but I think it's because we spun out so much further. So the bigger, the more colors are going to show. This part is kind of weird looking, but that was my fault. The center is nice looking. This is weird though. This is white. So somehow I blew down into the pillow paint. And so it's like this random white cell. So anyway, let me know what you think. Hope you like it. Check out the beautiful Aqua and Caribbean Mist. So I hope you like it. Let me know what you think. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe and so you don't miss anything. I try to share successes and failures, obviously. Don't forget about the discount codes in the description box below. And I appreciate all of you very, very much, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.